Transportation history was made Sunday in the Nevada desert where Virgin Hyperloop tested human travel in a Hyperloop pod for the first time. Sir Richard Branson, business magnate and founder of Virgin Group, said that, quote, "This spirit of innovation will in fact change the way that people everywhere live, work, and travel in the years to come." Joining us now is Josh Giegel, who is the co-founder and CTO of Virgin Hyperloop. Josh, great to have you here with us today. You were along for the ride. How historically significant was Sunday's test?
Thank you, Brad. It was pretty epic, just to say. It was a heck of a ride getting here, but it was an even better ride yesterday. 6 years ago, we started in a garage, and even before I started going down the tube yesterday, all of the emotions of all of that years building a team, building a new product, and then culminating in sitting in that product inside of a real working Hyperloop about to go down, I was starting to get pretty worked up. And then the ride was actually so smooth, accelerated kind of like an aircraft, no bumps, smooth as I could possibly imagine, or even actually better than I imagined. It was actually quiet, fully electric, got to the end, and it was one of those moments where it was like, wow, 6 years summed up in about 15 seconds. And just the team that did it, it was pretty overwhelming to do that. And you could see it on our faces, the smiles, and it was just surreal.
There's a lot of education that still remains to take place around maglev particularly. And so how do we best break this down? What is the way that a common rider of the future, perhaps, and myself or many others that may be viewing, what's the best way that we should think about maglev?
Magnet, if you've ever had a magnet for your refrigerator, it's beautiful, right? If you get too close to the refrigerator, it sucks. If you get too far away, you don't really have any force. And so the nice idea about this is that as you're moving, all of those things that cause bumps, whether it be on a track in your suspension, that's completely taken out by a magnetic suspension in this case. And the simple thing is just magnets attracting, magnets repelling. And instead of having that steel wheel on steel rail or a car tire on asphalt, you're using the cushion of basically magnetic force to be able to give you that gap and give you that control. And the nice thing about it is it's quiet, it's frictionless to an extent. And what we've been able to develop here over the last couple of years is something that's as energy efficient for maglev as steel wheel on steel rail. And that's a paradigm shift from the maglev of our grandfathers.
And so yesterday, the Hyperloop pod reached a speed of 107 miles per hour. The obvious final product will go much faster, considerably faster, perhaps at around 600 miles an hour is what we've been working off of. So how far would you say we are from that possibility?
Really, it's a matter of length. The longer the track we can get, the more we can build and the faster we can go. And, if you're on an aircraft, it might take 15 to 20 miles to get fully up to speed. And we'll get that a little bit faster on a Hyperloop. But at the end of the day, the longer the track that we get, the better it was. But the test yesterday was really about answering and showcasing the number one question that I've been asked over the last 6 years, which was from investors, from regulators, from everybody is it safe? And this idea of it's really safe when you see people get into it, and more importantly, when you see people get out of it. And so the system that we had yesterday, that we developed, was one that was designed to be an everyday rider. Sarah and I walked in wearing the clothes off the street. We got in, we sat down, we buckled up, we got out. You didn't see us wearing spacesuits. You didn't see any of this. And the number one question that people have asked us is, can someone get in this? I think we went after that yesterday. We tackled it and we got out of it. And that was really the most important thing yesterday, was getting in, getting out, and then the mechanism of making sure that was actually safe. My wife and my two-year-old I still like to be his dad, and my wife still likes me. And that's really the most beautiful part, is if it wasn't safe enough for me, it wasn't safe enough for anyone. And that was really kind of what it felt like to be there from the beginning as a founder, building something that nobody had really conceived of or visualized before. We put that together. We got in it yesterday, and it was something truly, truly special.
I watched the video. It looked really special. Look, $400 million from investors has gone into Virgin Hyperloop thus far. And when you think about what it's going to take to put real scale around this of the future, is there a dollar figure in mind, and how that would actually kind of total the costs rather, and what that would look like in totality, I should say?
I think when you look at what we're trying to do, we like to call ourselves a bit of a moonshot. Yesterday was a Kitty Hawk moment. The first two people to ever fly in this new mode of transportation, and Sarah and I were the first two to do that. And when we see this, what it's going to take to develop this, it's going to take more than just the $400 million. You're looking on the order of maybe $2 billion to continue out the development over the course of the next few years, build some of the certification centers like we've talked about in West Virginia, get some of these tracks going, and get some of the initial project work going. And from a technology development standpoint, you look at some projects that are comparably ambitious, and we are doing big, heavy infrastructure for a fraction of the cost and building really a long-range, high-power, autonomous electric vehicle using, state-of-the-art equipment. And the exciting part of that is it's only been 6 years since this is really a concept, since I quit my job, went to a garage to do this. And we've shown the technology works. Yesterday, we showed the passenger system can work. A few months ago, we showed that regulators were interested in this. Mm-hmm. And now we just have to put all of those systems together over the next couple. Right. And that's going to take us to really the first operating commercial system.
Josh, just while we have you, when you think about the federal government and the type of buy-in that you would need to really scale this out, how does the election and the incoming administration factor into those plans that you have at Virgin Hyperloop?
I think the incoming administration is we got a new opportunity with the ability to create new infrastructure projects. I think, there's a potential big infrastructure bill on the table. There's the opportunity to really get the next generation, 21st century solutions to 21st century infrastructure challenges. We can keep building roads, we could keep building cars, or you could actually say, we don't intend to live in the 21st century like we lived in the 20th century. And I think the opportunity to kind of invest in America, rebuild this infrastructure, but rebuild isn't quite the right word. It's actually build for the future, I would say. How are we going to build the infrastructure for the future instead of repairing the infrastructure of the past? And obviously we need to do an extent of that, but how can we continue to upgrade it and actually, the backbone of what the US was built on with the railroad, with the interstate highway system, we can see that, but powered by a Hyperloop for the 21st century. And then, my little 2-year-old, he's probably going to make it to the 22nd century. And that'll be exciting because by the 22nd century, if we've done our jobs really well, Hyperloop will power this nation as well as a bunch of others, and we'll be more connected than we've ever could have possibly conceived of.
Look, maybe we'll see it too if we get Tony Stark's arc reactor within us. Who knows? We'll see. Josh Giegel, who's the
beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Josh Giegel's the co-founder and CTO of Virgin Hyperloop. Thanks so much for the time, Josh.